the OB, like, she's like, push, push. And I wasn't pushing because I knew if I pushed, I was going to projectile vomit, like,
Oh,
all over her. But she starts yelling at me, like, you need to push now. So then I'm like, fine. And so I push, and sure enough, I literally projectile vomited in her face.
oh my goodness. Hi, I'm Kayla Heater, follower of Jesus, wife and mother of 5 children, Christian childbirth educator and doula, and your host of the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, where we share God-centered birth stories, evidence-based birth education, and our pursuit of surrendering our birth plans to God. Let's get started. Happy birthday! I bet you didn't expect me to say that. You probably expect me to say Monday, but happy birthday to this podcast. We have been doing this podcast now officially for 2 years, which when we reached our 1-year point, I almost couldn't believe it, but now we've doubled that. We have been doing this podcast for 2 years. We are starting season 3 today. So today is episode 1 of season 3, but we're still just kind of counting episodes from the beginning. So I think it's actually like episode 106 or something. But happy birthday to Surrendered Birth Stories. If you've been with us from the beginning, I hope you're enjoying this milestone as much as I am. Or if you've just recently joined us, I'm so glad that you are here and joining us, because that is my heart. My husband and I really want this podcast to grow. And so the more new people who are coming in to listen, the better. We are so glad that you're here. I just want to say thank you to those of you who have been listening. Thank you so much, week in and week out. It means the world to us. And a special thank you to my husband. Hi, Chris. Thank you for editing and producing each and every episode for the last 2 years. He has lost a lot of sleep because of it, and I am forever grateful. I was thinking, if you wanted to, a great birthday gift for this podcast would be one of a few things. Honestly, you guys know that we don't do any formal marketing for this podcast. There's no advertising budget or anything like that. But it's you guys. You guys are the advertisers. You guys are the marketers. This is a grassroots from the ground up type thing. So it only grows when you guys tell other people about it, because I only know so many people in my life. And everyone in my life knows that I do this podcast. So now it's up to you to tell other people in your life. So a great, totally free birthday gift you could give the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast is simply to share this podcast. Share it with a friend or family member, or multiple friends or family members. Text them the link to it, tell them they should listen to it, check it out, and or share it on your social media. Just share it in your stories, or even write a post about it, or anything. But just getting the word out there, because there are more people out there who could benefit from this podcast than who know it exists. So if you guys wouldn't mind helping me, just give this podcast a little free birthday present and share this podcast. Another thing you could do as a free birthday present is to leave a review for this podcast. So if you haven't left a review yet, that's a great way to say happy birthday, because when you leave a review, those little algorithms work together, and the more reviews a podcast has, the more it gets suggested to other people listening to similar podcasts, where it will just come up in their feed. So that's another great way. But you guys, I'm so thankful. I'm so happy. I can't believe we are starting our 3rd year of this podcast, season 3, starting today. Woo! It's exciting. Okay. Now that all my excitement is out of the way, let's jump in to this week's episode. The Lord is always speaking, if only we will listen. As Ariana took the journey of having 5 kids in 8 years, God taught her so many incredibly valuable lessons. By the time she had her fourth, his voice was so clear and her trust in him was so strong that he gave her the birth she never even knew she wanted. But he knew. Just because we're obedient to God in one season, though, doesn't make it easy when he tells us to do something we didn't expect in another. Hear how Ariana's latest birth unfolded. And I'll give you a hint. It wasn't anything like her others. Well, welcome to another episode of Surrendered Birth Stories. I am your host, Kayla Heater, and I have Ariana with me today. Ariana, just take a minute, introduce yourself, tell us about you and your life, and help us get to know you.
Okay, so like she said, my name's Ariana. I'm a mom of 5 kiddos. I married my high school sweetheart, and we got married. We're married nine years now. Yeah. My son's going to be 8, so it'll be 9 years. We're originally from New York, but God called us down to live in North Carolina. That was like a whole nother story for another time, but God had his hand all over that. We picked up and moved, didn't know anybody here, and we've been here ever since. And I got saved when I was in college. I always knew about the Lord, but I didn't really start my own relationship with Jesus. Like, I met Jesus in my car when I was in college, and just never looked back. So Jesus is just number one to me, and he's been so intertwined and heavily involved with every single one of my births.
So what part of North Carolina do you live in?
We are in Lillington. So we're like
I know right where that is. I was just there like a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, no, seriously?
Yes, we were visiting a friend who I had really never met in person, but knew her. Actually, she was on the podcast, and her name's Kayla, actually. And she invited me to come pick blueberries at her house because she has this really cool property with all these wild blueberry bushes. And so we went to Lillington. It was awesome.
No way. Kayla's the reason why I'm on this.
Oh, great.
She is
well,
one
there
of
you
my
go.
close friends. I love her so much.
Oh, that's so fun.
Good.
Oh, I didn't know that you knew her. Oh, well, that's awesome.
She was the one who sent this, and she was like, Ariana, your birth story is just so nuts. The world needs to hear it. You should go on this. And I was like, oh, okay, because I don't even have social media.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, that's so cool. Well, great. Yep. Okay. I've been to your town. I know exactly where you are.
That's awesome.
Okay. Well, let's dive in though. I know you've got 5 stories, but we're going to probably focus on some more than others, but I love to hear the journey from the first to the 5th, because I also have 5 kids and went on quite a journey myself. So tell us, you've been married for 9 years and your son is 8. So that means things happened pretty quickly after you got married. How did you guys go about getting pregnant? Was this a plan? Did you leave it up to the Lord? Just dive in.
Okay. So yeah, my son will be 8 at the end of August, but so no, none of my births were my plan. So in all honesty, at first I'm thinking we just got married. We're going to travel. We're going to go do all of these things. But the Lord, I guess, had saw my husband, or put on my husband's heart when he saw a father and their kids, and the desire of him having kids spurred very quickly in him. And it's funny because I read a scripture verse about this, if the desire's in the husband's heart, how God really honors that. And so it's wow. So anyways, he had really desired it. We weren't trying. My my cycle was very irregular. So doctors used to say that it would probably take me a while to get pregnant because it was so irregular. Well, that wasn't the case at all. And because I was not somebody who could keep up with the day or have any type of, sometimes I would get it at the last week of the month and the first week of the next. And then it was never something I could plan for. And so anyways, when I found out, we were in New York, and it was snowing out. And so my husband was shoveling, and he comes in and I'm crying, and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, we're pregnant. And then he's like, oh my gosh, he was so genuinely happy. which was like really sweet because that's kind of what I needed because my mind was already like, I'm not ready to be a mom. I'm not sanctified enough yet. God still has a lot to work out in me. Like, how can I care for a little human? Like, I'm not there yet. Like, there's still so much more that needs to be done in me. And I started telling my husband, I'm like, what am I gonna do with a teenager? He's like, why are you there right now? Like, why is your kid there right now? Like, can you not? Like, and so anyways, like after the shock of that, obviously I was so excited. I had such a beautiful pregnancy. I had no pains or anything. I actually went, this is horrible, but like I went skiing.
Because you felt so good.
Yeah, because I felt so good. And like, and I'm not like a skier. Like that was like my first time skiing too.
Oh.
So that's the crazy part. It was like not like my friend was like, I was telling her when we met there and she was like, you're what? Like, why are you here? But I felt so good. And yeah, it was just such a beautiful pregnancy. Towards the end, my ankles started swelling a lot and they became painful. But I even remember we were in church and I felt the Lord tell me to go up for prayer. And when I went up, the pastor's wife prayed for me and they got healed, like right in that moment.
Wow.
And I felt it. Like I knew that God was telling me to go up because he was going to heal me. It's like he already like walked me through that. Like I knew my obedience was going to lead to something because I was nervous about going up and stuff, but it's not like they had an altar call or anything like that. So it was kind of like awkward for me to go up, and I don't even know if she knows this till this day because I just started crying, but then she's the pastor's wife. She was getting pushed in so many different directions. So she just like went on. So that was really cool. But we had him in the hospital. I never even heard of like home births necessarily. Like my grandparents had home births because they were born in Portugal and they were poor. And so that was common there. But like it's not something I ever even like really heard of happening like now
Yeah.
in our generation. And so that wasn't even a thought. So we had a hospital birth and it was I started having contractions like in almost all my births. This happens. It's like 2 a.m. or whatever, but they're like slow to speed up. And then when I woke up like fully, like at 7, I was having pretty consistent contractions and they had called me in because I had an appointment anyway. And then they were saying I was dilating already and my body was picking up so well that I didn't even need Pitocin. And they were shocked because this was my first birth, that my body was doing it all, but I did get an epidural with this birth. The pain was just crazy. There was no breaks between my contractions for 6 hours, like no break, zero break, not any time to breathe. And they were really, really painful. And I tolerate pain really well. Like I didn't have a plan in my head because I didn't know what birth felt like. So I wasn't going to limit myself. But I've always geared towards the natural side of things. So I didn't know that I would get an epidural either, but it was really painful. And I was really grateful I did. In New York, they were so great. They put very little in so I could still feel everything. I could feel when I needed to push, but it just took like that edge off. And it was almost completely out even by the time that he was like coming out. And I did tear with him, but healing was good. It's all I knew. So I didn't know any different. I just assumed healing was that way. And that was really great. So that was a really cool experience. My husband and I had a cool experience with that. And then we moved down to North Carolina when he was 5 months old. And shortly after I got pregnant with my daughter, again, it wasn't a plan, but it was God's plan. And with her, again, I just assumed I would give birth in the hospital. I still hadn't talked with anybody who had home birth, so that still was not a thought in my mind. After how painful I felt, I was earing towards I probably would end up getting an epidural again. So that was kind of the plan. We didn't have somebody to stay with my son, so that was like very heavy on me during that time because we had just moved here. And God is so faithful. And I did meet a friend like a few months before I gave birth and she was able to stay with my son. Really quick with my son, God had given me a dream about him and I got to see what he would look like before I had him.
Cool.
So cool. The only difference was like in my dream, he had hair, but his face was like the same. And like the dream was I gave birth and I was holding him. My husband was right behind me and Jesus was in the corner
Hmm.
of the hospital room, and like he had given me that dream, and I remember thinking like, whoa, like is that going to be what he looks like, and with him we found out like that he was a boy and all of that. And also with all my kids, God has given me like a verse. So Romans 8:28 was for him, which is he works together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose. He gave me that verse for him, and then he kind of helps me very quickly on when I've had my kids, like what to pray for them, like what their gifts are. So we named him Caden because it meant warrior. And I really feel like God was telling me like he was going to be a warrior for the Lord, like he was going to lead. And I'm really seeing those qualities now. So that's really cool because as a baby, you're not seeing those qualities yet, but just
Right.
trusting and believing in faith. And I see all those qualities now, which, you know, that's sometimes hard to manage, but
Oh, I'm
otherwise,
sure.
yeah, the
I also
leadership
have an
qualities.
8-year-old boy, and yes, those things.
Yes. So I'm like, this once this is used and stewarded for the Lord, it's going to be beautiful. Right now, you have to understand that you still have to obey mom, which is like
Yes.
kind of rough. But anyways, okay. So fast forward, then I had my daughter. I had, so again, contractions started at like 2 something in the morning. I started feeling like I was leaking. It didn't feel like pee. And so I was like, babe, I'm going to go to the hospital. I drove myself, because like I said, I just had met this girl, 3 months ago. I didn't want to wake her up at 2 in the morning. So I was just like, Lord, you have this. And so I drove myself to the hospital. The second I walked in, my full water broke. And so I stayed there. And my husband was texting me back and forth. And we hadn't had like a middle name for her yet. We knew it was a girl, and her name would be Evie, which means life. And then it's so crazy how on my car ride there, I was listening to a song and I kept hearing the word grace. And then my husband had heard the day before, but didn't say anything to me about it, the name like Grace. And so he ends up texting me. I was thinking, what do you think about Grace? And I'm like, that's crazy. That was standing out to me on my car right here. That's what God wants her middle name to be. So that was pretty cool. And then he was nervous. Obviously, he wasn't going back to sleep because he didn't want to miss the birth. So he's like, please let me know. Like, when should I come out? When is it progressing? And it started progressing around like 7 a.m. But God already had given me like a peace in my heart that I was going to have her like around 9. And I did, sure enough. I had her at 9:30 a.m.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And so
Did
I
your
texted,
husband make it?
yes. So I texted him at 7 and I was like, you can drop Kaden off. I really think I'm going to have her at 9. And even he was like, what do you mean you think you're going to have her at 9? He was like, is that what the doctor said? And I'm like, no, I just have like this piece about this time. And he's like, what are the doctors saying? He was like so nervous about missing it, but he didn't. He was there. He got there at like 7:30. My friend's house was only like 25 minutes from the hospital that I was in. And I felt the Lord tell me not to get the epidural. Like I was picking up really quick, but I started feeling that pain again. And I was like, oh, if this is going to be 6 hours of this, I don't want to go through this again. It was so beautiful last time. I'm getting the epidural. And which always obey the Lord, always obey the Lord. In that moment, fear took over and I didn't obey. And I really wish I had, because it was not like my epidural in New York whatsoever. He gave me the epidural, but he must have hit some type of nerve or something. It only took to half of my body, and they were not listening to me. And I kept telling them like something's off, like only half of my body is going numb and the other half not. Oh no, it just has to circulate. Just press more, like because you have the button to press more and like put more in. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, all right, maybe they know what they're talking about. I'm obviously vulnerable. I'm like in the middle of a lot of pain. And so I press more. And again, now my whole right side of my body is completely numb, cannot feel one thing. My whole left side of my body, I feel everything. There's not even an ounce of numbness in it. It was horrible. And it was making me feel so sick. I remember the OB, like, she's like, push. And I wasn't pushing because I knew if I pushed, I was going to projectile vomit like all over her. But she starts yelling at me like, you need a push now. So then I'm like, fine. And so I push, and sure enough, I literally projectile vomited in her face.
Oh my goodness.
My husband sent me memes after because he had to do everything in his power not to start cracking up. It literally, thank God it was like just liquid because I hadn't really eaten, but like still, I mean, nobody wants vomit in their face. So then after that, she's like, well, if you have to vomit, don't.
Don't push. Never mind. I changed my mind now.
And I'm like, lady, I couldn't even talk to you to tell you because I felt like it was going to come out. So I was trying to save everybody, but whatever. If you were going to keep yelling at me, then,
It's like the same sensation, honestly, like just going in opposite directions.
yes.
Like the pushing and the throwing up, like you're making the same, like, ugh. Anyways.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, so that was not pretty for her. She had to, like,
Poor
went,
OBGYN.
I don't know. I wasn't focused on her in that moment, but my husband was like really trying not to laugh. But she came out, she was like a little tomato. She was so red. They're like big puppy lips, and they put her on me. She was my biggest baby. She was like 8 pounds, 12 ounces or something. She was like almost 9 pounds. She was a big old baby. And now she's like so tiny. It's so funny. Like my son's so huge and like she's so tiny, like just big boned. He's like, but yeah. So anyway, so that was that. That pregnancy was, I would say, the hardest one. So my second birth was the hardest one that I've had out of all five. And I had postpartum after. So that was kind of like rough too. And I didn't realize it. Like I kept almost trying to justify those feelings and never really like opened up enough to realize like I probably have postpartum right now until I was like already like 9 months in. And then I'm like, yeah, something is really up with me. This isn't like, I just kept being like, oh, well, my hormones still have to regulate or whatever. So I just like went through such, that was a really hard period. And so that was rough. But then my son and my daughter are 22 months apart. Yeah, 22 months apart. And then I had my third. Evie was like almost 3, I think, when I was pregnant. No, she was 3 when I gave birth. So yeah. So anyways, so that was cool. That was like my favorite break because that gap, because I felt like I really got to cuddle with Aria because my son and my daughter were already like playing together. They were already used to hanging out. And so I kind of felt like I had snuggles with my third because of just the time frame. My daughter was already potty trained, which was cool. Oh yeah, and the Lord had given me for Evie like that, the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop. Like that verse, I think it's in Isaiah, and she truly is like the most kind, sweet. She's my like no problem child, just so obedient, so kind, so gracious, like all the things that just such a sweet girl. She's really a true gem. So then I got pregnant with my daughter Aria, and now I had heard about home births. Now this is after COVID and all of that stuff. So honestly, it started becoming like I was more fearful to give birth in the hospital than I was at home. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know why I have such a peace about this, but I can procrastinate sometimes. And I wasn't sure like what a home birth looked like. And so we were like reaching out to different people, but they kept saying like I was too late, like it was too late for them to take me on, or they were too far away from my location. And so I wasn't finding like a midwife that would work. So I started getting really nervous because now I'm like 6 months pregnant. I still have I want to have a home birth, but I have no plan of who's coming or whatever. And so I kept praying and I kept trying to leave it in the Lord's hands. I knew he was calling me to have her at home. Like that was crystal clear to me. I had no doubt that he wanted me to have her in my home. And we had like a master bathroom that we hadn't renovated yet, and it had a huge tub in it. And so I was like, wow, I could give birth in that tub. And so all of that seemed to be panning out. And but I didn't, like, no doors were opening for a midwife. And then finally my friend who does have social media said like she was on like a young mom page or something like that, and they were talking about that, midwives and stuff like that, and she was able to send me the info of this one midwife. And so I called her, and sure enough, she was willing to do it. She wasn't a Christian, but I literally prayed like, Lord, just open the door that you want me to walk through and make every other door shut. Like, I only want to walk through the door that you want me to. And she was literally the only one who said, yes. And so I was like, I trust you, God. Like, maybe God willing, I pray that, I think she felt the Lord in my home. And so if I could be a light in any way, and she worked with a doula who was Christian, who, I really, really, really enjoyed as well. And so we paid them, and now we had like some sort of plan. She had told me like what birthing supplies to have at home, and I was more excited than I was nervous, just because I knew God wanted me to have her at home. And so I was like, if you want this, then you're all over it. Like, if I'm in your will, then I know that I'm good.
Whether you are pregnant with your first baby or wanting to have a different birth experience for a subsequent delivery, this is the fully comprehensive Christian childbirth course for you, the Surrendered Birth Course. With over 10 years of experience as a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and having had 5 kids myself, almost 6, I have created a course fit for every mama out there who wishes to be fully informed on all things pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding, while remembering to keep Jesus at the center of it all. Our God created a beautiful design for birth, something to look forward to, and not something to be feared. Not only will this course get you prepared for your birth, but it will also get you excited for it. It will answer questions you never knew you had and teach you things you didn't realize were so incredibly valuable and central to the entire birthing process. I've had numerous couples on their second, third, or even fourth babies who've taken this course and said how incredibly glad they were and that they learned so much more than they ever thought they would. With over 12 hours of video content, 5 modules, numerous lessons, detailed PDF printout notes, and endless resources, we dive deep into pregnancy, labor, the risks and benefits of interventions, inductions, immediate and extended postpartum for both mom and baby, everything you need to know about breastfeeding, and basic newborn care. This course covers everything. Once you've taken the course, I am available to you for any questions you might have during a monthly live Q&A Zoom call exclusive to our online course audience, as well as through email. The course is on demand, so as soon as you purchase it, you'll be able to start right away and re-watch any lessons as many times as you need. Whether you are planning a medicated hospital birth or an unmedicated birth at a birth center or home birth, this course will prepare you in every way that you can be prepared. While I understand the desire to take a specific hospital or home birth course catered to your specific birth plans, birth doesn't always go how we plan. And having the knowledge of how birth can go in other environments outside of our plans is essential. Most importantly, I will help you to surrender these plans to God. And in return, the Holy Spirit will provide you with the peace that only He can give. For more information on the course, to read testimonials of others who have taken it, or to sign up for the course, just click the link in the show notes. And lastly, remember, just like we say here every week on the podcast, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands.
It was such an amazing birth. Again, with the 2 a.m. of the starting of contractions. And then they progressed like pretty quickly. I had her in the morning. I think it was probably 7 or 8 a.m. that I had her. And so that was like from 2 a.m. to that. So it was pretty quick. It wasn't, and it was really nice being in the bathtub. I was like, whoa, this works like an epidural. Like, it took so much of the edge of the pain off. She shot out. They almost didn't even catch her because the midwife was like trying to just clean out the tub a little bit, and like, boom, she just came out.
While you were in the tub?
Yes, while I was in the tub. And so she just like leaned over and she's like, whoa. She just came out, and it was really cool being home. Like, I just ended up loving, like, it was such a sweet experience. What's crazy about this birth is she never even cried. My daughter never cried. And I'm looking at them as she's laying on me, and I'm like, is she okay? Like, she's not crying. And they're like, look at her. She's just looking around. She's taking it all in. Like, there's not a lot of lights. There's not people grabbing her. There's no chaos. Like, she's happy. And I was like, whoa, like, I didn't even know that you could have a birth where a baby comes out
Didn't cry.
and not crying. And I was like, and like, it be okay. Like, it be good. And so I was like, whoa, this is nuts. And she was. And do you know that she didn't cry for 2 weeks?
Whoa.
Like, I didn't, like, the most that would come out of her was like,
Yeah.
And I took that as like her cue to feed.
Yeah.
And like, that was it. She was, I would say by far, she was like my easiest infant. She was so content. Like, just content. Like, she didn't sleep through the night, but she also wouldn't fuss much. I just woke up so easily. So it just like
Yeah.
any kind of like, I'd be like, oh, okay, she's probably hungry. But she was like my most content baby, which God knew, because I ended up 2 months after her, I started having like symptoms of like rheumatoid arthritis, and I could barely walk, and it was like, actually, I was like losing all strength, and it was like really hard to hold her. My son would have to help me like put my socks on. And so God is so gracious, because he gave me like the most angelic baby for what my body was going through during that time. And I honestly think it's because I didn't take a prenatal with her, because I had kept looking them up, and I was just like, I don't know, what did they do back in the day? They didn't have prenatals. Like, I'm just going to eat healthier, whatever. But I think that I really messed with my body, because I think any nutrients I had was going towards her. And when she came out, I had nothing. I think my body was just so depleted. So I definitely think like supplementing is like really, really a good move. Because
so what did you do to fix that?
I went through such a journey, honestly. I really, I never got to cleanse parasites, which I still believe is the root of it, but I just keep getting pregnant. So I'm either pregnant or breastfeeding, and literally can't cleanse when I'm doing either of those. So I still think that's the root of it, because I still have like a flare-ups, like my wrists feel it still, but I can walk now. My ankles still feel it. Like, running might be hard, but I can like move around. Like, nobody would know looking at me that something was wrong. Then it was like I could barely walk, so I couldn't pretend or try. I tried so hard fighting through it, because I didn't even want my kids to feel bad for me or like whatever. But it was hard. My son helped me so much, like. But I finally had gone to a doctor like a year dealing with this. I changed my diet. I stopped eating like all sugar. Like, I took sugar, and that's like hard. Sugar's in everything.
Yes, it is.
It's crazy. So it's not so easy. Like, people might think like that just means, oh, you stop junk food. No, like, I stopped eating a lot of things. And like anything that caused inflammation, I would have like a lot more. I would make myself like turmeric lattes at night. And I tried just so many different creams and just changing my whole diet. I wouldn't go on any kind of medicine. I wasn't willing to. So I wouldn't even go to a doctor, honestly, because I'm like, they're probably just going to try and prescribe me something that I'm not willing to take, because I'm breastfeeding. So it's just not going to happen anyways. Like, what's the point? Finally, like when I was coming near the end of breastfeeding, I breastfed. I always tried for at least a year. My first got breastfed till 18 months. But then since I was getting pregnant so back to back and things like that, I always aim for at least a year. As long as my supply lasts 8 to a year, I go the year. And I'd go a little bit past 2, but that became hard. Like, the more kids I had, it's kind of like, okay, like, let's put you on some goat milk and we're good now. But anyways, I went to a doctor, and she was like, it's crazy. And God like totally ordained this too. It's so nuts. She goes, I had one patient that I've heard of these same symptoms, and I went to her for something else. I was having like Because like at the top of my stomach, there was like a ball kind of like sticking out. And I'm like, this didn't used to stick out this much. Like, I don't know what this is. And sure enough, she said it was my bone. But from all the pregnancies like pushing up, it was like making that part of my bone kind of curve out. So like my bone kind of like sticks out more the top of my stomach. So when I lost my baby weight, I was like really seeing it. And I'm like, what is it? So that's what I went to the doctor for. And she ended up telling me, which is crazy if anybody's listening and if anybody has gone through the same thing I did with these like RA type symptoms, she was like, I had one other patient go through this. And when she stopped breastfeeding, they went away. And sure enough, when I stopped breastfeeding, they went from like 50% to like 90% gone. Like
The pain, like the arthritis pain?
Yes.
Wow.
So crazy. And I
So
mean,
maybe like some hormones involved with that.
yes. So I think it's extremely hormonal. Like they were trying to, say that it was, I can't think of the name now. What do they call like that sickness that's like immune?
Autoimmune?
Autoimmune. They were trying to tell me like it's like an autoimmune disease or something, but it went almost all the way away after I stopped breastfeeding, which was amazing. So that was that. And with her, I remember one night I was up with her at like 3 a.m. and I felt led to come down and read my Bible, and I'm just bawling and bawling. I open up, and God's call for her life was he said to set my captives free. And I knew it. Like anybody who saw her as a baby too was like, there's something special. Like she has a high call in her life. And I just knew it too. Like there's just something about her. So I knew that God was going to use her to deliver people. And that's a whole nother story that I could share because God had already done that like through after her birth, like really shortly after her birth, by probably I think it was 2 months after her birth. I won't go into it, but like my husband got deliverance, and it was just like, God is so good. And so I feel like he just kind of confirmed her call to me. And then I wanted to not have any more babies at that for a while because of all that RA stuff. And I felt like God kept telling me, like, you're going to have another one very quickly. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not, God. No, I'm not. And but he was like telling me that's what's going to happen. It was not up for debate. It was going to happen. It's insane. I still can, till this day, I don't even know how we got pregnant so quickly because it doesn't make sense. I will tell you that it doesn't make sense. The pull-out method is not birth control.
No, definitely not.
No. And sure enough, I got pregnant really quickly after. So Arabella is my fourth. So all my girls are in the middle. So I have 2 boys on my ends and all my girls in the middle. So now this is the birth that is just wild. This one is wild. So I get pregnant really quickly with her, and they're 16 months apart. Anyways, I'm like, oh man, like my body's still not getting time to heal, whatever. But I get pregnant again, and it was a good pregnancy. I was really tired this pregnancy, specifically, like very overly tired. I had a lot of acid reflux with her too, like super duper bad. And I always have restless leg syndrome, and that has only kind of gotten worse each pregnancy, which really stinks too. That's never fun because I can barely sleep. But other than that, like, I had 3 other kids. Like I had to be moving around. There's no option to not. So you push through it and you do your best. And that's what I did. And then I kept trying to get ultrasounds. And I kept trying to book an ultrasound, but I knew I was having a home birth at this point. But I still was asking God. I'm like, best, God, but we had just gotten like really good insurance, and they would have like covered the birth completely in a hospital. So we wouldn't even like owe anything pretty much if I gave birth in the hospital. So that still was a thought in my mind. Like I loved my home birth, so I wanted a home birth, but I'm like, are you calling us to do this? Because we also just got this crazy insurance and it would be basically free. And so I was like praying a lot about that, like, God, please give me clarity, please give me clarity. And I kept feeling like he was telling me like I wasn't gonna know until I needed to know. And I'm like, yeah. So I packed a hospital bag, but every time I went to go also even like text the midwife to like set it up and pay her, I felt like a nudge in my spirit, like, no. And I'm like, this is bizarre. Because I'm like, okay, if I don't have that set up, I'm having my little hospital bag set up. So then in my head, I'm like, maybe he knows I'm going to have to be in the hospital for this one. Who knows? Like, God
Yeah.
only knows. So, yeah. So it just, it's like I kept getting this nudge in my spirit not to pay the midwife or like even contact her. And I'm like, I don't understand this, Lord. So, I mean, I contacted the doula and I was telling her, like, please pray for me because I feel like God's not giving me clarity on like paying for the midwife and or going to the hospital. Like, I don't know where this is going to go. And I feel like he keeps telling me I'm going to know when I need to know. And she was like, well, then you'll know when you need to know. And she was like, if you need me, I'll be there. Don't worry. Like, don't worry about paying me ahead of time. So at least the doula said that. So I was like, okay, at least I have like a little something.
Was this the
Um,
same midwife as your last home birth?
yeah, but the Lord like wasn't letting me contact the midwife, but the doula that was with her, I had
That's who
her
you were
number too,
contacting.
and that's who I
Okay.
was contacting because her and I like connected. Anyways, and the midwife was like so great too. So I'm like, this is so crazy. Like, I don't know what to do. And my husband was like, I don't know, God will show you, God will show you. And so then I'm like 6 months pregnant and I keep being like trying to schedule ultrasounds and nobody is willing to see me because I either didn't start with them or it's too late in my pregnancy, or if I ended up oversharing saying that I was having a home birth. Like, so they kept like not being willing to give me an ultrasound. And so, and then they kept being like, if you want an ultrasound, you should probably, your best bet is probably to go, like, no OB office was willing. And they kept just saying, like, I should go to the hospital if I need one. Like, I can even just, say, like, I'm worried about something or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not, like, what? I'm not going to sit in the hospital. So I kept calling, right? All different ones. And then by like the fourth one, I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, you know what, Lord, this didn't even dawn on me until this moment. Like, do you even want me to get an ultrasound? And so I was like, you know what? Okay, God, if you don't want me, and now I'm on the phone with them. They answered, they put me on hold for a second. Um, and so this is like this time frame while I'm on hold. And I'm like, Lord, you know what? I just realized, like, maybe you don't want me to get one because it keeps not panning out. So I'm praying and I'm like, God, if you don't want me to get an ultrasound, please make it clear. Like, and this is all in my head. I didn't say any of this out loud. My whole family's in the car with me. And in my head, I was like, just like, don't let this call work out. Immediately when I opened my eyes from praying, the call goes and it was on their end, not on my end. Like, I had
Oh,
service.
like they dropped the call. Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped the call immediately. And I like right when I opened my eyes and I was like, oh, well, I can't turn back now. I just prayed that in my head. And
Yeah.
so I knew like God didn't want me to get an ultrasound. And I felt like he was telling me, do you trust me? Like, he was trying to grow my trust. And so I was like, okay, you know what? You're the creator of life. Like, you're knitting this child together. What am I even doing? Like, who do I think I am? Like, you are the maker of all things. So I'm going to give this to you. And so I didn't get an ultrasound at all. So we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. We had no idea about anything. If there was potential, like nothing. We knew nothing. Again, I woke up at like 2 a.m. with contractions, and they weren't like super bad. They're like 20 minutes apart, maybe some were 15 minutes apart, some were like 11 minutes apart. And I'm like, I hear the Lord just be like, how about you go downstairs? I heard him so clear. I don't like, I've heard the Lord very clear before, but this was just such a sweet, like, there was no doubt. I wasn't even doubting if that was his voice. It was just like, it was like he was standing right next to me. It was really supernatural. So I very plainly, I hear him tell me, go downstairs and you should have some electrolytes. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So I go downstairs and I just make myself electrolytes. My contractions are picking up. I have a peace that surpasses all understanding because remember, I still don't know what's going on with this baby. Nobody's on call. Nobody's expecting to be here. Like the doula said she would come out if I reached out, but like there's no plan. And so then I'm like, okay. And then I go upstairs and my contractions are picking up a little bit, but they're bearable. Not too bad. I just feel like I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm sitting on a potty and then I hear him be like, why don't you clean the tub? And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me clean the tub. Like not even thinking. So I bleach the tub and then I very quickly hear, okay, why don't you get in the tub? And I'm like, okay. So now I'm just getting in the tub. And
Meanwhile, everyone else in your house is asleep.
everybody was asleep. And so my husband was the only one that before I went downstairs to get electrolytes, I told him, I think I'm having contractions. They seem pretty consistent, but I'll wake you up and let you know like what's going on. And he's like, okay. All right. So now I'm in the tub and like I have a contraction. They're like 7 minutes apart. They're not like crazy regular. And I hear the Lord tell me, okay, push. And I'm like, now I'm like freaking out a little because I'm like, wait, what? Wait, I'm going to push right now. And I hear, yeah, push. And I'm like, what? Okay. So then I push. And then as I'm pushing, I hear him tell me like, because now I'm freaking out a little bit, not super bad, but because his calm voice was just so peaceful. And I hear him tell me like, it's just like pushing out poop. It's just like pushing out poop. And when he would say that, it was just like, oh yeah. And now he's like, praise me. And the only words that could come to mind was, great is your faithfulness, O Lord. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. And I just kept saying it over and over. Oh, I'm getting chills even. Like I just kept saying that over and over again. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. And then I get another contraction. He tells me to push again and I feel her head and she's crowning. And I'm like, now I'm really freaking out because I'm like, now I have to get her out. Now there's no turning back. This is really happening. Like that's when he let it hit me. Like before that, it was like I was on like a cloud. Like it wasn't hitting me what was happening. And now that's when it hit me. And so now I scream for my husband because I'm like, I'm about to have the baby. Thank God my daughter was in the room because she wasn't able to sleep or whatever. And so she was like, Dad, I think mom's having the baby. And she was able to get him up. The second he walks in to the bathroom, she comes out.
Wow.
Like popped out, 3 pushes, done. She came flying out. It was the most painless birth I had ever had. I didn't even know a birth could be that painless. And I realized I really attribute that to the fact that I was able to laser focus on Jesus. I had no distractions. And it's just like Peter walking on the water. Like when he was focused on the Lord, like, can I come out to meet you? And he's facing the Lord. He was walking on the water. But then the second he started looking at the waves and realized what was around him, then he like started sinking, right? And I felt like that's exactly what happened to me. Like it was painless because I was so focused on Jesus. There was nothing to distract me from his voice. And it was literally the most painless, easy, like, so I hold her and he's like, what do we have? And I'm like, it's a girl. Like I lift her up. I'm like, oh, it's a girl. My husband's eyes were nearly popping out of his head. He was like pitch white. Like he's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I'm like, imagine waking up to that. He's like petrified. He's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. But what? Like,
what do we need to do? Yeah.
So he's petrified. He's like, do you have anybody to call? And at this point, I'm like, oh, I can call the doula. So I was able to call her. She lived like 45 minutes away and she like had to come with her baby and she came and I delivered my own placenta at that point, which God is so good to me because I didn't know you're not supposed to pull on the cord. And I'm like pulling on the cord. And thank God it didn't rupture or rip. He was so faithful in not letting anything like that go wrong. And yeah, and then when she got there, she just kind of like helped me clean up and stuff. And she was like, you did this. Like, I can't even believe this. She was like so taken back. And it's just crazy. And so anytime I look at my daughter Arabella, I just think of God's faithfulness, like every time. Like the attribute of faithfulness. Like he told me I would know when I had to know. And obviously there's a reason why he didn't want to tell me from the beginning, you're going to have this birth, just me and you, nobody else, because I probably would have been a lot more nervous for a lot more length of time had I known
Right.
that.
So what
So
time did she end up being born?
I think it was like 6 a.m.
Wow. So another like pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And with her, it felt even quicker because my contractions were so sporadic.
Spaced out.
Like they
Yeah.
weren't, so it felt like only the beginning stages. That's why when he told me to push, I was like, what? Like they're
Yeah.
not even like together enough yet. Like I'm still 7 minutes apart, sometimes 10. Like, what do you mean push? Like I was like, what? And then sure enough, she comes out in 3 pushes. So it
Wow.
was like, yeah. And I was in the tub again, and it was like literally the most, it was just such a beautiful, God is so faithful. And what I realized through that birth is we don't give him the chance to show up. Like back in the day, they didn't have an option. They didn't have all of these options at their fingertips. They had to trust him, that a lot of people didn't even be able to get an ultrasound or anything like that. Like it was all trust, and like we don't give him the opportunity to show up like that anymore. But like
Right.
if we did, like the way that grows our faith and our relationship, like he showed up, like he really showed up, and it was the best birth experience I had, and it was just me and the Lord, and it was so beautiful and so painless. Like I didn't even know that was possible. And yeah, I really like, I don't know, that really showed me like how little we allow ourselves to place our faith in him because of all the things we have at our fingertips. And it kind of like frees me of needing to know everything now. I don't know. That was just such like a shift of like it was for my protection that he didn't tell me that ahead of time, because I would have been worried about it and I wouldn't have been able to experience the peace he wanted to give me. And so I don't know. I just think a lot could be avoided sometimes when we don't know. Like
Yeah.
and we trust him. Like not knowing out of ignorance, but not knowing out of like, I'm just going to trust you, God, with this. And then he's so eager to show up for his kids. He's so eager to show his glory. Like he's so eager to be our comforter and our helper. And he's so near to especially mothers. Like there's a verse that says that in the Bible. Like he's near to a woman with her young. Like he draws near because he knows, and it's just so he's the best. So
He is the best.
he is the best. And so then after that, again, I was like kind of like, okay, my body's been through so much. I want to get my body right. So I'm thinking like it'll be some time before I get pregnant again. Sure enough, this is like, I think it was probably the first time we even interacted after I had her. I got pregnant right again, and they're like 15 months apart.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I'm like, seriously, Lord, like we're doing this again right away. And sure enough, yeah, that's what it was. I got pregnant. I didn't even realize I was pregnant, but my husband was trying to keep track as best he could. Again, my period's irregular, so it's not easy to do, but he was like trying to, because I got my period back really quick after my fourth pregnancy. It came, I think I had my period within 2 months
Yeah.
postpartum. So it was like super quick. And so anyways, yes, I get pregnant again. So this one's the most recent one. This is the baby that I have here. He's doing so good. He's sleeping.
Oh.
And so now after having that amazing birth experience, though, I didn't really have as much fear about the birthing experience, because I'm like, look at what you did for me then. I didn't need an ultrasound. I felt like, again, he was not calling me to get an ultrasound. I realized he could be trusted. I was going to trust him unless he gave me like, I'm not telling people not to get ultrasounds, like, but he was the one shutting the door for me. And then even with this, I felt like he was like, you don't need it. Look, you trusted me last time and I was faithful. I'm going to prove faithful again. So I felt that, but I also feel like there can be times where he puts it on your heart to do that, and it's for a purpose too. So
Yeah.
this is just unique to me, and just my experience with the Lord. And so I felt like that's what he was telling me. And so again, I was like, all right, well, you proved faithful last time. I'm not even going to fight you on it this time. I'm not even going to try. So I just didn't even try to get an ultrasound this time. Again, I was like, I had such a beautiful experience that I was totally okay now with not having anybody there.
Yeah.
because I was like, that was like it was me and Jesus. He like, and it was the
The
best.
best one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's nice to have somebody come after though, just to like check you and help you clean up and weigh the baby and do all the measurements and things like that. And so I can shower. Um, so I was like, maybe I can still contact like that same doula, but she's 45 minutes away. And in my head, I'm like, this is my fifth pregnancy. They're only going to be 15 months apart. Like my body's probably going to do this 1, 2, 3 is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, she's 45 minutes away. Like maybe I can try and find somebody closer.
Somebody
And that's how I met
closer.
Gail.
Oh, Kayla. Yeah, Kayla. Great.
So I ended up sitting with her, and the week that I was due, she was going to be away. But she was like, if you go before that, which a lot of my pregnancies, I went early, like I went about 2 weeks early not for my first one, he came a day after my due date. But for my other ones, I went like 2 weeks early. It was pretty typical. And so she was like, but if you go early, I'll be here and I'll make sure I'm there. And so that's like the only person I had in my mind. I felt like God, what really was impressing on my heart to reach out to anybody else or do anything else. It was so beautiful last time. This time I wasn't even really worried about it. And so, sure enough, I had him early, and I also may have miscalculated like the date because I didn't have any, doctors
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever. So, that's a possibility too, because otherwise he would have been like 3 weeks early. But and he still weighed like 6 pounds and 8 ounces. So I don't know if he's really 3 weeks early or if I just glitched on a week maybe. But anyways, so with him, same thing.
I was like, let me guess. You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with
Oh,
contractions.
wait, no.
Wait, you
I'm
don't?
forgetting. I'm forgetting like all these births and I'm forgetting. With him, I didn't. No, this one was totally nothing as expected with this one. Yes.
Oh boy.
So, all these same expectations, no, I went out the window, but that's because that's what God was trying to teach me with this birth. He's always trying to teach me something with these births, I felt like. And so, this time, so I started having contractions when I had my mother's helper here, and she comes like over 2 to 4, and she came over from like 2 to 4, and I was having contractions when she was here, but they were not really regular. And then when her mom came to pick her up, they were getting like a little bit more painful, but still not super regular. They were still like maybe sometimes 15 minutes apart, sometimes 10 minutes apart when she was here. And so she right away was like, if you need anything, I'm here. I told my husband, I'm like, I'm having contractions. They're regular enough that I think I'm going to have the baby today, but I don't know, when or whatever. And so he made sure he got home around like 4:30. He got home. When he got home, they were kind of painful this time. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go into the bath, but we had redone our bathroom. Like we really didn't think I was pregnant right away again. And so we had redone our bathroom. We took out that big tub. So now I didn't have that tub. And so now this was something I was wrestling with God with. Like I had two beautiful home births, but they were both in a tub. What am I going to do now? So I bought this like blow up bathtub that like fits in our big walk-in shower now. But I kept feeling like the Lord was like, you're not going to have this one in water. But I didn't want to submit to that because I'm like, that was comfortable. That's what I know. That was good. Why are we changing it? And it was so good last time. Let's just do like last time, God. And he's like, nope, it's not going to be like last time. And so, anyways, so my husband gets home. He blows up that tub for me, and I'm like sitting in that tub and stuff. And then I'm like, I don't know, feeling like I should just get out. I was like in there for probably an hour, and then I'm like, all right, let me just get out. And so then I'm getting out, but then the contractions are getting pretty painful again. And so, they were probably like 5 to 7 minutes apart. At this point, it's like 10 p.m. at night, and they're still like 5 minutes or just under 5 minutes apart, and they're pretty painful. And so I'm like, okay, let me get back in the tub. So I get back in the tub, and I realized that from last time, when you push with your contraction, it kind of like takes some of the pain off. I don't know if it's just because you're focusing on pushing,
Yeah.
but I felt like it kind of like helped with the pain. And so every contraction I had, I was trying to push with it. And so now I'm in my bathtub and now I'm like getting nervous because I'm like, okay, I've been having contractions for a long time. This is much longer than the last. I was just pregnant. Why is my body not just doing this? I basically thought this baby was going to slip out. Like, why is that not happening right now?
Right.
And so I'm wrestling with God and I'm like talking to him and I'm like, Lord, like, is something wrong? Do I have to go to a hospital? Is something blocking? Like, will you tell me, God? Like, and I'm wrestling with him and I hear him again, crystal clear, say, I told you you weren't going to have this baby in the water. And it's true. He had given me a vision that I had my elbows on my bed and that I had this, my husband bought like this human dog bed that's super comfy and that I like my knees were on that. But again, like, so at this point, I'm like, fine, I'm submitting to God. So I got out of the bathtub, like totally against my own will. This was my flesh did not want to get out of the bathtub, but I kept pushing through and I'm like, God, what's wrong? Why am I not having this baby? And I'm wrestling with him and I'm like, I'm in so much pain right now. Why aren't you letting this happen? Then he reminded me of that. He's like, I told you you're not going to have this baby in the water. So I had to surrender that to him. He's faithful in water. He's also faithful in land. And so I was like, okay, God, okay. And so then pretty much shortly after that, I get out. I felt like I had to put, a sheet. I remember he like brought the vision to my mind again. And so I put like one of those plastic sheets over the dog bed. I had it moved up to our bed and I had my elbows on it. My husband was up because this was at night, like he hadn't even gone to sleep yet. And so he was with me the whole time, this entire time of labor, which that's the first time that happened. And then I'm on my knees and I'm pushing through a contraction and I'm like, babe, get ready. And my water just breaks. It bursts everywhere. And so my husband's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? It's just me and my husband right now. And right after my water broke, I pushed again, maybe one or two more times, and he came out. My husband caught him, and it was just me and my husband, which like is such a testimony because like after having our first son to now like our last son, just what God has done in our marriage throughout the years, it was just like he was really he's been trying to solidify like our foundation and our unity and stuff. And so I realized that like I would have taken that away if had I given birth in the tub. Like God was trying to show me through this last one, like you guys are together, you're unified, you're together, your foundation is set, like you're both in me. And so that was like just really sweet, almost like prophetic, like God was just aligning us and bringing us back together as one through this whole thing. And it was like a picture of that. And so like my husband was there for the whole thing. He caught him. Then we called Kayla and she came like 30 minutes after this. I delivered my placenta this time with like one push. It just all came out. I didn't have to like pull or anything, thank God. And when she got there, she just like checked everything. And then it was the first time she cut a cord. So she cut the umbilical cord and everything. She did the measurement. She helped us clean up. And it's just so crazy because like going from the other birth where my husband was like pitch white and petrified when I had just had that baby, like, what do I even do? This is nuts. I can't believe this happened. To this one after it, he was like, oh, I could do everything. He's like the total opposite, like the
So
confidence.
confident.
Yeah, so confident because he was helping her cut the umbilical cord. He was helping her with everything. And he's like, oh, I got this. If we have another one, like, I got it. Okay. So I'm like, wow, that is so crazy. And yeah, and so now that's my last one. And he's here and he's not even 2 months yet. And he's such a sweetie. And
So were you guys surprised when a boy came out?
yeah, so my husband told me right away, we really didn't think, like we had 3 girls in a row and I was like, we're probably just gonna have girls from here on out. Like we really both didn't think we'd have another boy. And our boy is like such a boy. Like my
Yeah.
first son is like very, and so I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like he takes up all three. Just him being like who he is or whatever. But yeah, so we were pretty shocked, but the Lord had also given me two dreams that I had a boy, but I still didn't believe it for some reason. I'm like, I really feel like it's a girl. But yeah, but then we had him, and like the Lord, we didn't have him named for a little while because we didn't have boy names picked out. Really, we couldn't settle on a boy name. We had girl name picked out, like no problem, but we didn't have a boy name picked out.
I've been
But
there.
yeah, so he like for a few days their friends are like, wait, what's his name? And I'm like, I'll get back to you on that. It's not solidified just yet. By like day 3, he was named for sure. Like we were like, okay, we're sticking with this. But so his name is Rylan Jace. Yeah, and so that was really cool. And at first I didn't want to stick with it because I'm very big into the meaning of names because I feel like you're speaking something over them in a way. And so I'm like, when I looked up the name Ryland, it just means like land of rye. And I'm like, oh, that like what kind of meaning is that? But I kept feeling like the Lord was like, this is his name. And I'm like, so then I look up rye in the Bible, and that's like the most resilient crop. And it showed God's providence for his people because even no matter the circumstances around it, it still thrived, like even in drought. And so I felt like he was already like telling me like resilience, like, and God's like providence for his people. And it just a situation that we had gone through, like in our marriage, that really was trying to put a wedge and just some family stuff that was like really trying to put a wedge in between our marriage. And it was like even in that, like God was speaking to me about his name, that like it still thrived even in the chaos, it still thrived even in the famine, and that like God's got it, like just with the whole situation and everything like that. And so that was really cool. And yeah, it was really cool to have that with my husband and for him to like catch the baby too and stuff. Like that was really cool. So those are my birth stories. That's a lot.
Well, no, but they're beautiful and you told them all so well, and heck, you're doing great. It's only been like an hour and that's 5 stories. I mean, that's way to go.
Thank you. Because I'm like, I'm such a talker. I don't want to like over.
No, you did great. So as we wrap up then, is there anything, I mean, you shared really beautiful things about your journey of faith along the way, but is there anything else that you want to share that would be helpful to others, like any sort of advice or anything like that?
I think the biggest thing I learned with this last birth was God was telling me, and I forgot to mention that. So like when I was wrestling with God in the bathtub of like, how come this isn't like the other one? How come I'm feeling pain now? How come I'm not like allowed to have him in the tub? And like, I'm really just wrestling with God. Like, I thought this was going to be the easiest one. Like, it's my 5th one. It's back to back. Why is my body not just doing this? This should be so easy. He should just slip out. Like all these expectations. And I felt like he was telling me, you have to learn how to let go of your expectations. Mm. And so the first few weeks of being home with him, and my husband owns his own business, so he really wasn't able to take off more than like a week and a half. And so it's not like I had a ton of time of like getting all that extra help. I have such a beautiful friendships, and thank God for like all the people that God has put in my life. But it's not the same. Like when it's your husband, you're more willing to be like, you got this, you go, or whatever, than I would with like other people. So anyways, but that word stuck with me about letting go of my expectations. And I felt like God was just giving me such a grace when I was home alone with them that first week, that I was like completely just me and them the whole week. And we didn't even like have plans for visitors or anything. It was really just me and them. And my husband was even getting home late because he was kind of backed up from taking off. And so but I truly was letting go of my expectations, and I had so much contentment and joy. Like, it's really hard, I feel like, to be a mom. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves. We hold so many expectations of things, or how our day should go, or how they should be planned. And I'm not saying don't plan your day or whatever, or like, but like, even expectations like my house should be cleaned, or I should be doing this, or I should, whatever the case may be. But I really found so much joy in letting go of everything I expected. And I really realized, like, I kept praying for the Lord just in my journey with the Lord. He took me through like a wilderness season, and I was really feeling like I was losing my joy in the Lord. Like, I'm like, where's my joy? Like, being in a wilderness season wasn't fun. It's isolating. He kept reminding me of, like, a caterpillar in a cocoon. Like, I was in the cocoon, but I was going to come out the butterfly, but they still had to be in the cocoon first, right? The change was happening, the transformation was happening in the cocoon, and I felt like he was taking me in a wilderness season. The Lord himself was in the wilderness 40 days. Like, it's always for preparation and stuff for something new that he's doing, either in your heart or your purpose or your calling, whatever it may be. But anyways, I felt like he was trying to teach me all along, like, how to let go of my expectations. And when I do that, how much more joy I feel, and contentment I feel, and gratitude I feel. And so I feel like that's my best advice, is just, it's really hard to keep all these expectations, but when you let go of all your expectations and you give them to God, you find a new peace and joy. And I feel like I don't know if other moms struggle with this, but I struggle to be present in the moment. Like, even if I'm sitting with them in their playroom, I might be thinking about other things that I have to do. Like, I just very much struggle to be right there. Like, even though I'm physically right there, I'm not mentally right there.
Yeah.
My mind is going on, like, oh, and then I have to get lunch, and then this time this is happening. This, like, it's just always going. But to just be there, like, it's just watching them play and stuff. Like, I just felt so much more at peace. I wasn't napping. I wasn't getting upset. Like, we were all just enjoying each other. And not that, like, the days went perfectly, but there was just this peace and this joy that I had in my season. And so, I don't know. I really think that that's huge for anybody who's, like, lacking joy in their season because, you're tired and you're pouring so much out of yourself into your children. But, like, if you really try to just give all your expectations to God and let go of them, you can find, like, this new contentment.
Yeah.
Even when the day is not perfect, like, it's just like an inner contentment. Like, I don't know.
I need that reminder. Like, here in my, not even with labor and birth. I mean, I need it with that too, but just in my day-to-day with my 5 kids here at the house. That's why I love this podcast too, and just, like, love hearing people's stories, but also love hearing what the Lord has taught them and is teaching them, because I feel like that often they are lessons I need to be reminded of, and I need to, relearn over and over again. Thank you, Ariana. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for being willing to come on here and share, especially with your not even 2-month-old. I know the foggy season that can be. So I just really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much for having me. If it could even just, like, help one person, like, I was like, yeah, I should share. I should share my story, because God is so faithful. Like, I can't help but be excited to share,
Thank
anything
you so
that brings
much
him
for
glory.
listening to today's episode. I love it. You can reach me at Surrendered Birth Services on Instagram, or email me at contact@surrenderedbirthservices.com. Be sure not to miss an episode by hitting the follow button. Also, we'd love for you to leave a written review of the show so that more people's births and lives can be changed by the love of Jesus and the empowerment of accurate birth education. If you really enjoyed this episode in particular, please take a screenshot of it and post it to your Instagram story, tagging Surrendered Birth Services. If you would like to be a guest on the Surrendered Birth Stories podcast, please click the link in the episode show notes to fill out your interest form. Also, if you're interested in taking my childbirth classes, birth consultations, or having me as your birth doula, please click on the link in the show notes to take you to my website for online and in-person options. Just as a reminder, this show is not giving medical advice, so please continue to see your personal care provider as needs arise. We hope you have a great week, and remember, learn all that you can, make the best plans, and then leave it in God's hands. Now, is it Ariana or Ariana?
I'm not picky about my name, so whatever feels more natural to you to say.
I've been calling you Ariana in my head, but
that's fine. Yeah,
okay.
but I have friends call me both, and they'll always be like, "What do you prefer?" And I'm just not somebody. I don't know. I'm like, ask my mom. I don't know what
Mom,
way
how
she
did you
wanted it to
intend
go.
it?
Yeah, I don't know how it was intended, but I'm fine with either. Either one doesn't bother me.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.